On the water, the morning mist lingered. On the land, it was burning off in the warm July sun. It promised to be a fine day here in Lancetclair on the southern coast of Labrador. The fish plant was empty, the wharf quiet. The boats had all gone fishing. Well, all save one, a small dragger that was still under construction.
Use some of this stuff. What's that? I have a container. Don't get out there and take it. No. I know where the buy is. Where? That's right. Don't need to buy. Can you get on there? I need some mail. Not Nick.
It was a good time to launch the dragger. The tide was rising and the capelin were close to the beach. In cities, boys build go-karts and head for the road. Here they build draggers and paddle to the sea. Offshore, we found the fathers of these young sailors. So this is where they got the idea. The last time I'd seen the Lady Thomas, she was gill netting. Now she's an inshore dragger, one of the first for Labrador. A new, a more exciting way to fish in the eyes of the young fellows. Cruising up and down the shore, scanning the straits with radar and sonar, sweeping the ocean floor with a big net. But 'twas the small boats that were having all the luck this morning. Fishing was excellent. It had been a long time since I'd seen gill nets so full. Here around Greenlee Island and Isle of Boys, fishermen are subject to the laws of Quebec, which say that only boats under 40 feet can fish within a mile of the shore. So most Quebec longliners are an inch or so under 40 feet in length. They can fish wherever they like. It's the same game we play with our 65-foot limit for inshore vessels. But it means that Newfoundland-based vessels, which are mostly over 40 feet, must stay offshore. And it means that draggers such as the Lady Thomas must stay on the Labrador side of the border if they want to fish on the inside grounds. Only thing is, there doesn't seem to be much fish there. We gave up on the Lady Thomas. No, it was on the Quebec side, around Isle of Boys and Greenlee Island, that the fish had congregated. And so had the small boat fishermen.
It was just someone just reaching on top of the water. I mean, they're not even on the bottom. No, we're getting rain over the net there, eh? Aye? Above the net, see, we're getting rain over the net there.
Wilf Leto, the man who took us out, had an automatic jigger on board. To show how plentiful the fish were, he lowered it and hauled back.
2.
3.
That's not bad. Have you ever seen fish like that before?
I've seen it before, but it's about 20 years or more since they've been this thick.
And it's a lovely fish too.
Oh, beautiful fish, beautiful.
Well, with the fish as thick as this, it didn't take long to load a boat, even with a jigger. By 11 o'clock, some of the boats were making for home. Remember the sleepy wharf of a while ago? A bit busier now that the boats are coming in. The fish landed here were all purchased fresh from the fishermen and salted by Mifflin's, agent in this area for the Salt Fish Corporation. They were getting as much as they could handle.
Look up, fellas. Get up.
By mid-afternoon, most of the boats were in. I rounded up Calvin Leto, chairman of the Fishermen's Committee in Lanceclair. Calvin, it's a fine sight down there on the wharf, isn't it?
Well, I guess there's a lot of people haven't seen it. They don't really know what it's all about, I guess. But
yeah.
That's what we're used to living in.
Well, is it always like this now, this time of year?
Usually, from say the first week in July until the 3rd and 4th week in July, it's pretty high peak in gill netting.
Yeah.
You know.
But I've heard people say that they've never seen fish as plentiful as this year.
Well, it's 10 or 12, probably 14 years I've been fishing, and I never ever saw this. No, never ever saw it this thick.
So everybody is pretty encouraged.
I am.
Yeah.
Last summer, for instance, I fished, or me and the partner fished 18 nets the whole summer, and it's no way we can handle 18 nets this summer. Tonight I think all I'm going to have in the water is 10 nets. That's as much as we can handle.
You mean you're going to take back some nets?
Oh yeah, I'm going to take back some more nets this evening.
How many have you got out now?
Well, I got 14 nets out now.
And there's more than
fishing.
You can handle?
There's more than I can handle. 10 nets is the most,
And how much fish now are you getting in 14 nets? Say?
Well, this morning I pulled back 12 nets and I got about 3,600 pounds. That's average, a pretty good weight per net. My catch so far this summer, I'm pretty well as good as I was last summer.
Right.
And I only been at it 3 weeks.
Does it make you want to get a bigger boat now, or do you think
Well, I don't know. To look to a bigger boat, you got to go to a dragger. The day of the long lining and gill netting, that's finished with those long liners. And for my part, and I think the greatest number of people on the coast, if it wasn't for the boundary line they got drawn in Quebec, I don't know if it's their waters, I guess it's everyone's waters. Apart from gill netting, we wouldn't be able to do anything on this part of the coast.
Because of the draggers?
Because of the draggers. Mainly due to, they say there's quite a good bottom out there. They don't wreck many nets or anything, and I guess that's why they hang around.
So this draws a lot of draggers to this shore, doesn't it?
It do. If it was only just for the 3 or 4 draggers on the Labrador coast, I don't think it'd really matter. But we get boats right from Port of Bass.
So is this why there's no small boats fishing now on this shore, and you got to go further in?
That's exactly what's happening. The only thing you can go out there with is a jigger. And there's times we've been driven out of the banks with the draggers. You had to haul up your jigger and just get out of the way.
But now it seems like a lot of fish even on the ground you're fishing.
There's plenty of fish, but if we only had to steam about 2 mile instead of the 5 or 6 that we're steaming, it'd be a lot easier.
So I suppose a small boat fisherman here would rather have the rules like the Quebec fishermen
Well,
have.
we've been trying for the last 2 or 3 years, and we can't get any headway. We went to LeBlanc, we went to Jim Morgan, we went to any person that we could get out to, even the member for the district, and still nothing. I don't think we're going to get any district, any line drawn whatsoever.
Calvin, we were talking about draggers. There's a dragger out there now. That's
the local dragger, the Lady Thomas from Lanceclair.
Right, yeah. Now he hasn't been doing too well today, and yet you with the small boat.
Well,
okay.
By the looks of his boat, I think he's done all right.
Oh, he probably got some after we filmed him.
I think he's doing all right.
Yeah. Well, I believe everyone was doing all right. It seemed that all the boats were coming in to port, loaded down with choice codfish. Throughout the Atlantic, the fishery was in crisis. Plants were hovering near bankruptcy. The Kirby Task Force was scurrying around. Fish were being dumped. The fishery everywhere was in a mess, but you'd never know it here in Lancetclear last summer. Here it was a mad scramble to get as much fish ashore as they could. Of course, this fish was all going into salt, and that made a difference. The salt cod trade was in a lot healthier condition than the fresh fish business. Splitting machines took care of most of the fish. It was all washed and cleaned and then put under salt. This was the work of the women of Lancetclear. They did most of the shore work, in fact, splitting, cleaning and salting, sometimes long into the night. Well, the Lady Thomas did indeed have a load. I was curious about how the skipper, Sam Thomas, felt about this new method of fishing, which seemed plagued by poor markets, tight quotas, and constant complaints from small boat fishermen.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, well, wherever the fish at, you got to get, I suppose, a 2 for them or 200. I mean, you got to go where the fish are. No good to go out in the 100 fathom water if the fish is in 10 or 15.
And that's where they are now. They're
That's where they are now. You go below 20 fathom now here, nothing. You got to keep up above 20. You got to keep in the rocks, as a matter of fact, to get a bit of fish.
So it would be kind of crazy for you to go way out in the deep water now if there's nothing there.
Yeah, it'd be a waste of time and fuel. Nothing out there. You go off. People like to go out there because there's better dragging out there. You got more comfort. You're in amongst the rocks here. You're on the shoals, and half the time you're hooked up and tearing up. So if I'd go fish outside, well, you'd be clear of the small boats, you'd be clear of everything, and you fish to his comfort.
So you don't really want to fish inshore like this?
No, I like to be fishing alone, outside somewhere, get clear of the rest of the boats. But the only bit of fish is in the shore, so that's where we have to go.
What about fixed gear now? It must be kind of hard with gill nets set nearby and that. You have to be pretty careful, I guess.
Yeah, you keep outside. Only in this area where I'm fishing to now, I don't usually set gill nets. It's almost too bad about them. It's on that, what we call live rock or coral rock. Most of the time, that's where I've been fishing lately, on that kind of a bottom. There's no nets there. You never ever set nets there.
Now, you've only been using the boat then for a short while, and you're convinced already this is the best way to fish.
I say the only way. When you're in, you're in. You ain't got no gear in the water. Worrying about a couple of bad days, and you know what you got when you get out in gill nets after 2 or 3 bad days.
And do you think you'll make more money with this kind of fishing?
Well, that depends on the quota. Yeah, we almost got so much now, about average what we've been getting the last few years in gill nets. And this is only first part of July. They say there's only a couple of weeks left in the quota, but if it is, it'll only come equal to a gill netter. That's all the time he gives us.
Well, what will you do afterwards once the quota is up?
Well, I'll go on the other boat with the other boys, I guess, on the gill netter.
Down
the Labrador somewhere.
I see. So you'll have to tie up this vessel?
Yeah, I'll have to tie her up until next spring again, I guess. Unless we get some other quota.
What's the most now you've come in with in a day?
Well, 20,000. That's our quota. We're not allowed to take any more than 15 or 75,000 a week. So.
And you got pretty close to that today, didn't you?
Oh, we got our quota a little better.
So things really picked up once we left?
Yeah.
You don't want to see us out there anymore?
I don't want to see you coming outside no more.
On the Quebec-Labrador boundary, you can see Isle of Boys and Greenlee Island, a choice place for fish. It always has been. If you're under 40 feet, you're okay. You can cast your nets anywhere. As one fisherwoman on this shore once told me, they fish so close they get bakeapple stalks in their nets. The whales are attracted to Greenlee too. We watch them chase the capelin, who are dancing in fright on top of the water.
Holy mackerel! Moby Dick.
The capelin comes up the water. Look. They're driving the capelin up. Holy! Not a bad mouth for that time. They're feeding now.
The whales moved off, hopefully without having destroyed any nets.
Get your harpoon ready.
Just off Blanc-Sablon, we found a cluster of boats around a Portuguese trawler, over the side sails. She was here to help the fishermen dispose of their surplus catch. There were more fish than the salt fish plant at Blanc-Sablon could handle. In fact, some fishermen on the wharf were getting ready to truck their catch home to Capstan Island so that they could light salt and dry it. Joe Fowler was too busy to stop work, so I talked with him as he gutted his evening's catch.
No, I haven't. That was this year. Trap, you only hit whatever you put in.
Oh, you've never had to dump fish this year, have you, like other fishermen have in parts in Newfoundland?
No.
Could it come to that?
Could. Or you leave it in your nets. You had to dump it or leave it alone.
This is trap fish you've got here, is it?
Right. Only for the Portuguese, we wouldn't be able to sell it right now.
Is this a better place to fish up here in the Quebec Shorten?
Yeah, it's better than up there. Water shoulder. There's days and days up here you can fish. Southwest wind, you can't think about fishing down around Captain Island.
Would you say this has been the best year now ever for you?
The best so far. For 4 weeks we've been up there.
One more day.
So far.
Have you got any idea how much you've landed in that time?
It's 4 weeks, it's about 80,000.
80,000. That's not bad for a small boat, is it?
No, it's pretty good.
And you still could have a month
80,000 pounds in 3 weeks, and a chance of another month's fishing. Not bad at all. One of the men taking all this in was Abe Dredge, a fisherman from Black Duck Cove on the Newfoundland side of the Straits. He'd just come over on the ferry. I wondered why.
Why did you come over on the ferry this morning?
Well, we come over on the ferry this morning before we took our gear up home, you know. For to find out we could get clear any fish or get a place to salt in, we were coming over.
And there's no fish over on the Newfoundland side?
Not a thing around home, not a thing.
Now, do you often come over here to fish? Or?
Oh yes, we've come over for years and years. I was 13-year-old the first time I helped heave anchor in West Maris. Now I'm 54.
Yeah.
So,
so it's nothing new to you to come over to Quebec and Labrador?
Not a bit, not a bit.
What about here in Quebec though now? Have you fished over this way before?
Yes, we fished quite a nice bit here in Quebec waters. 1967, 65, all right along. Now and then, most every year, would be one part of the Labrador or other.
Yeah. And now you're looking for a berth now. You mean trying to get somebody's trap berth or what?
Yes, I got an old fella, I forget his name now, up the long point. He told me to go over the head.
What do you mean? Why is that now? Why would he give you his trap berth?
Well, because he got 4, see? He got 4 trap berths. He got 3 out, 3 traps out. He's getting more fish now and he can handle out of 3. So he let me put my trap there to all a boy.
Oh.
And if he want his berth, like the fish select from the other berths he got, if he want his berth there to the northeast point of Allaboy, well, he asked me would I remove the trap, and I told him yes.
So you got a gentleman's agreement with him?
Oh, indeed I did, yeah. Yes, he's a lovely old fella.
You get along pretty well with the French-Canadian fishermen?
Oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yeah. Oh, yes, they're lovely people. Yeah. Don't have no problem.
Yeah.
No.
Now, when you come over to go fishing here, Abe, how will you live? Where will you live?
Oh, we'll stay right here in shack here. We got a shack of our own, but if we can get one here without bringing one over, we'll stay in one of those, you know.
Yeah. You're used to doing that?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Lying in the sand.
Now the trap fishery, well, I mean, it's well on into July now. I mean, do you think that's going to last that long, though?
By God, boy, I used to lay here a long time when the fish strike.
Yeah.
Over here on the Labrador, yeah.
I mean, up in August month?
Oh yes. Well, we never used to leave home. Years ago, when we had the little schooner, we never used to leave home now for the last of July, 1st of August, coming out west of Monaghan. We used to trap 300 or 400 count of fish.
So there's a lot of fish been landed already, but there still could be a lot more.
Well, they used to have voyages, you know, Dave. They used to have voyages down the west of Monaghan when we fellas go over there. Yeah. Well, we still get our voyage of fish.
Yeah. And the same up here on this shore.
Same thing here. Same thing here.
So you're moving to Quebec for the rest of the trap fishery?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope things work out. Okay.
Well, I hope
the fish
so.
stay in.
Yeah, I hope as well. Yeah.
This is Quebec, but boundaries are for politicians. There were no great differences on the French side of the border. The fishermen, at least all of the small boat fishermen, seemed to be getting along well together, fishing side by side. In fact, there was a small colony of Newfoundlanders invading the Quebec beaches, as they've always done during the fishing season. Jerry Genge and his son Terry of Flowers Cove had just made their landing. And from the looks of things, we're going to be here for a while. How will you fish now? Will you have do you have a trap with you, or will it be gill nets?
You're not allowed to put a trap with here unless you had a bird there for years, huh?
All right.
You can't put a trap, not even just anywhere.
Yeah. Well, how will you fish then?
Oh, we
gillnets and jigger.
Jig and gillnets.
And the gillnets are good years. This year I've been here for gillnets for years. You know, there's
Well,
always used to be
we
good,
like
but
the
not
jigger
again.
the best.
Yeah.
You know, we over here on the many net sea, and the many people go across here back and forth here, and we have no holler, you've got a job to get it up.
And you can lose some of your nets too with
Yes, that's right.
some of the boats around.
And take up the nets somewhere, you know, yes, sir.
That's how it works.
Yeah, we lost a few nets last year here for that.
Do many people come over from Newfoundland like this now?
Yes, sir.
Quite a few.
A few years back, this place was, well, perhaps if I tell you it was 100 camps, I wouldn't say too many.
Is that right?
Yeah, from Strait. The only place with any fish, see.
But you made it over, it took everything you need in one boat trip.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah, everything.
Of course, you're not living very fancy here anyway, are you?
Oh, no. Not any fancy, but you know.
It'll do, though.
Oh, yes, yeah. Do for a couple of months, whatever you got to stay, you know. You got to go somewhere. I mean, there's nothing else to do. It's only the fishing in Newfoundland now, you know.
The problem with getting clear with the year, we might have a split and carry it home, you know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I hope things work out for you. I'm sure you'll have a good time here in your camp when you get it up.
Sir. Oh, after it gets it up, we'll have pretty comfortable, you know.
Oh, yes.
Yes, boy.
Now we got plenty to eat, that's all of it.
And so, for hundreds of fishermen, this was the place to be last summer. Isla Boys and Greenlee Island. As much fish as you could handle, just a gunshot from the shore. Quebec fishermen, Labrador fishermen, Newfoundlanders, all gathered around these two islands on the Quebec-Labrador border, all anxious to make what they could from the fish while it lingered so close to the rocks. The fish was all salted. We didn't hear of any being dumped, though there were times when traps weren't hauled and times when catches had to be light salted and cured on shore. It's a brief bonanza that occurs each summer here in the Labrador Straits, a frenzied harvest of the sea, a time to work hard, a time to make money, and for some, a time to practice for the day when they'll be out there too.